So welcome to our last panel today. Today we're going to talk about Tesla's product roadmap. Today the world knows Tesla as a car company. Just like how 2 decades ago the world knew Apple as a computer company. So what's ahead? What's their roadmap beyond cars on energy, robots, and AI? So I'd love to just give a round of applause to welcome our two guests, Lars and Amy. And for those watching on the live stream, thank you for your support. Wherever, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to you. While you're on Earth, or maybe you're watching from International Space Station. So Lars and Amy, could you introduce yourself to the world, please?
Ladies first.
Oh, it's obvious.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I have been an investor in Tesla since the IPO in 2010, and I've just consistently bought shares in Tesla every 2 weeks and been rather obsessed with the company. So I just really enjoy following everything that Tesla's doing. And I'm also a pilot, so I was able to fly myself here because Singapore is one of my favorite places to fly. So that worked out.
Thank you for flying down on autopilot. So fun fact, autopilot actually came from the aviation industry before Tesla took it for cars. Yeah. Lars, who does not use much autopilot.
Thanks, Daren. My name is Lars. I'm in Singapore now for about 12 to 13 years. I work for a big tech company, so I have a lot of natural exposure to generative AI and AI in general. And it's quite interesting how car companies, and not just Tesla, but other car companies, trying to, I think, embrace Gen AI. And it's a personal journey for me because I really learn about it every single day, new and new. And I'm teaching as well at NTU around generative AI, blockchain, and new technologies in general. And I enjoy Singapore, so thanks for having us today.
Welcome. Today, more than 80% of Tesla's revenue is in the automotive business. It's known as a successful car company. Do you see that changing by 2030? Let's start with you, Lars.
Thanks. I think if you look at many of the successful companies which are out there, the biggest top Fortune 500 companies, if you look how they actually started from a revenue perspective and where they are today, they had many alterations throughout the history of their operations, basically. And I think what Tesla is doing and the way the company is going to various areas from energy perspective and so forth, I think the main ingredient of the revenue for a company which is doing transportation will go into other areas as well. And if we look at the general trend of the market of cars, of sustainability, I think there are many more pockets of revenue and profit for Tesla and the car company in general, which will definitely change the way which the revenue is being made of in the next 10 to 15 years. I strongly believe it's going to be different.
What's your take, Amy?
Yeah, when I first invested in Tesla, what I was looking for was a company that was going to be disruptive. Being someone that was in the San Francisco Bay Area that has a lot of venture capitalists, what the venture capitalists look for when they invest in a company is something that could change an entire industry. And we've seen what Tesla has done in regards to changing autos and transportation. And when they look at whether a company is actually going to be able to do that, they look for a very large market. And then they look at, do they have the right team in place? Can they attract the world's best engineers? Well, we know Tesla and SpaceX, number 1 and 2 every year on where engineers would like to work. Then do they have the funding available? Can they produce a profitable product? Can they scale it? These are all questions that they ask. So we've seen them do this in auto. Now we're going to ask those same questions about energy. Does Tesla have the right team in place to scale stationary storage? And they do. We saw that on Investor Day when all those executives were up on the stage. Does Tesla have the ability to fund this disruption in energy? And we know that they do. They're a profitable company, and they're spending with their profits and turning it back around into R&D. Does Tesla have a large market size? Well, they put Master Plan 3 up on the screen, and when they did it, it was 24 terawatt hours of energy that was going to be required to change the grid over. And if you look at the grid, it's not going to stay the size that it is right now. Right now, it's it has a lot of gas cars. You move to electric cars, the grid has to double. You move to heat pumps to produce heat in houses, and then it has to triple. So this is a huge market, and Tesla is poised to be able to take it over. And energy at the moment is the most profitable product. And then we can do the same metrics when we look at AI. Does Tesla have the right team in place? Can Tesla fund it? Do they have a profitable product that they can scale? And then do that with FSD and do that with the bot. And so when I look at Tesla as a company, I just think it's on the first wave with auto, and then we're going to see energy, and then we're going to see FSD, and then we're going to see AI, and then we're going to see the bot. And the company is going to keep changing. And as Tesla changes, the world is going to change. Tesla is absolutely transforming the world and transforming what an economy is and the way that an economy will work.
Wow. Now, as Amy mentioned, Tesla is trying to transform the world. You look at the biggest car companies in the region. Toyota is trying to be a better car company. They recently took apart the Model Y and said it's a state of art. So they're trying to go into gigacasting, getting EVs. You look at Europe, Volkswagen is trying to become a better car company. Look at North America, GM and Ford are trying to become better car companies. But what Tesla is trying to do is not become a better car company. It's becoming almost an ecosystem play like Apple. So it's how you buy an iPhone or you buy the Tesla car first, then you get the services like Tesla insurance, you get autopilot, full self-driving, you get the energy storage at home, you get the solar panels at home. Do you think that Tesla is a shot of really becoming a real ecosystem player like Apple? We'll start at Amy first.
I was going to say start with Lars. Absolutely, because if you look at it, it's already happening just with the supercharger network. So because of the way that Tesla does a design for manufacturing process, at the moment that they start coming up with a new product, the engineers are sitting in the same room with the production engineers, with the supply chain, and they're all involved in it together. So they're designing from a very different scalable perspective, and Tesla creates ecosystems. That's what Tesla does. And then Tesla is willing to license these things to other people. So superchargers was just a start. I think that you'll see that with the car software, and I'm really interested in your perspective on that one.
Thanks. And maybe take a step back and look at the car as what a car might be later on. And I think I like Tesla not for the fact that it's the car which it is today, which is obviously great, but I think it's the perspective and the possibility they have to change how transportation is being done later on. To give you a quick example, I have a car in Singapore, and driving a car in Singapore, as we all know, is not necessarily economic from a pricing perspective and just generally from an overall, well, I guess cost perspective overall. But I'm using my car maybe 30 minutes a day, maybe an hour a day. So the car is actually standing around for 23 hours a day. And that's not just my car. I would assume that many people's cars in Singapore are mainly standing around at least 6, 7, 10, 15 hours a day. Now, if you look at the infrastructure which is being occupied by all of these cars being parked somewhere, not being used, and the infrastructure which is wasted by this, plus the resources which were utilized to build this car, I think Tesla, with the opportunity to have a sustainable car, have a car which can pilot potentially itself, has a sustainable way of moving that car. And if you take all that together, we could end up in a situation where the whole ecosystem can provide a car on demand, where you actually don't have to own your own car, where you can, like you have with the various car booking apps today, you can book a car to be there at the spot when you need it, and the car is operational 24 hours a day. We don't need parking lots anymore. It might affect the property prices which go down, and just generally sustainability. So I think from that perspective, and that's I think why I think Tesla is a great company and an ecosystem opportunity, because of how they can potentially put that together. Plus today, the car itself, I think it's a great car.
That's right. Unlocking the car, like Lars mentioned, if it's sitting in a car park 95% of the time, what happens if the car could be put to productive use when it's in a car park? Elon Musk says that's the greatest asset value unlock in history. But I sense that some of you will have questions. Hold those thoughts. We'll open up for audience questions shortly as well. Now, Elon Musk has said and agreed with Dave Lee on Twitter that in a few years' time, Tesla will be known as an AI company, not a car company. But then many companies want to be an AI company. Meta wants to be an AI company. BYD wants to be an AI company. Huawei wants to be an AI company. Sony as well. What do you think being an AI company means for Tesla? Is it credible, or is it words that they say?
Okay, I think there are two things to an AI company. Number one is every company you ask is and wants to be an AI company, because I think that's just the theme of the theme of the time right now. The second thing, though, is AI, and if AI is pretty much unlocking the potential of the data which many companies have collected in the past. If you look at the historic increase of compute power which we have in the world, plus general availability of AI models, be it the ones which the general companies are driving, plus smaller boutique companies are driving. So the models which we have today, plus the compute power which we have today, which I'm sure Tesla has as well, plus the other companies, and that combined brings so much value of providing incremental value out of the data which companies have collected. So 1 + 1 can actually be 3 in some instances. And putting that together with what Tesla as an ecosystem can provide, there's so much potential which can be driven beyond the natural kind of incline of economic or standard growth which a company can drive. And I think it's very credible. And if you take into consideration the amount of data which Tesla is collecting and taking this data to build something new, absolutely. And I think there is a lot of potential in that with self-driving and also just measuring and country planning perspective, urban planning perspective. I think there's so much potential in that space.
What's your take, Amy?
Yeah, when I look at Tesla, if we just look at they already have 2 monetized AI products right now. In between FSD, even though it's a beta, Tesla is charging people for it and people are paying. They also have in their energy division a product called AutoBidder, which uses AI to do arbitrage on how to use their stationary storage, the Megapacks. So Tesla already has 2 AI products, but what I'm really excited about is version 12 of FSD. So if we look at the versions 11 dot whatever that people are driving around, that represents 300,000 lines of code, where Tesla was having to train the system, and they would hard code different elements of the system. Version 12 is end-to-end neural nets, and they took that code, 300,000 lines of code, down to 1/10 of that. And that is really exciting, and that is actually represents what AI is supposed to be. A different way to do compute, a different way of natural learning, more like our human learns, that now the FSD is going to learn to drive like a human learns to drive. And then they can take the same technology and now they're going to bring it over to the bot. And they already are doing this. They're training the bot. And they're training the bot the way that you would train your child, where they're curating the learning experience, but they're also doing it via imitation. So when I look at Tesla as an AI company, they're already there. They have a huge advantage. And why do they have a huge advantage? Because there's barriers to entry for AI. These barriers are compute. Huge backlog to try and get a NVIDIA cluster if you think that you're going to become an AI company. Tesla just brought theirs online. Dojo, they just brought that online a few months ago. In the last quarter, Tesla doubled their compute that they have available. The world's best scientists, well, we already talked about that. Number 1 and 2 between SpaceX and Tesla. Tesla can share with xAI, those world-class scientists that didn't want to work within a major corporation. And then data. Again, Tesla has the data advantage. So when you look at all of those issues, Tesla is once again ahead. And then Elon Musk, in his book, interview with Walter Isaacson, at one point, he thought that Tesla was way behind on AGI, or getting to the holy grail for AI. But then what he came to realize is that what Tesla has an expertise in is practical AI. And practical AI, because they're with FSD, they're dealing with people's lives. The standard for Tesla to be right is very, very high. Tesla has to be right on everything that they do. If you look at generative AI, and it's getting better exponentially, but when the first ChatGPT came out, it was comical how easy it was to trick ChatGPT and get a wrong answer. Tesla doesn't get it wrong. So Elon Musk came to realize that in his view, AGI is going to need both practical AI and is going to need generative AI. And generative AI was going to be much easier for Tesla to do. And they were already doing some of that in the language of lanes and other things that they were doing. So they already have some of that expertise. And now if you look at what XAI has done, it was only announced in July. They've already released 2 products, a developer's toolkit and a chatbot. So it seems that very much backs up what Elon Musk said.
That's right. So real world, Tesla has almost 5 million vehicles on the road. Audience, show of hands. How many of you have ridden on a Tesla? Maybe in a shuttle today or before this? Anyone? Hands. A lot of you. So a Tesla is a robot on wheels. It goes about at least 100 kilometers per hour. You really want to have fun, 200 kilometers per hour. And as Amy mentioned, Tesla is now making robots on legs. Those robots do not need to carry humans. The standards for the cars are very, very high. We can't get it wrong. Every single life matters. Now, when Tesla starts making the Tesla bot, instead of going 100 kilometers per hour, it just needs to go 5, 10 kilometers per hour. And when they start selling a Tesla bot to you, me, any one of us, for $20,000 US, is that going to change our world in a profound way?
Go first.
I think, thanks Amy, I think Tesla bot in general is an exciting view on the future. And just historically, you know, as kids, when we watch the movies and we have robots and autonomous robots and so forth. So I'd like to believe, and personally like to believe, that it is something which is coming, hopefully when I'm still alive. That's number one. Number two, I think if you look at the, again, take a step back on the actual potential which that can bring, just from a livability perspective, for elderly care, for urban planning, again, for various other aspects of our day-to-day lives, I think there is so much potential in there to drive economic growth and also personal growth from a communal perspective. So I think if it's really possible, and I still believe that this is a possibility, there is so much potential from a livability perspective for all of us in having a Tesla bot. Now, how feasible it is that this is in the next decade and the next 2 decades, it remains to be seen. But again, taking this into consideration of AI, what Amy mentioned, and what is possible today from a compute perspective. And we have seen that compute is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. So the possibilities of the compute which can be embedded into an autonomous robot, which is potentially smarter, faster, and more flexible than a human, obviously brings use cases which we can't even think about today. And it goes beyond self-driving cars and self-building and self-programming and so forth. There's a massive risk to it. And as we all know, AI is being discussed as a massive risk to humanity in various movies and in various publications as well. So we need to kind of understand of what's the impact on that. But I think generally there's a very bright future for having that. But I don't know if it's within the next foreseeable future, but certainly something to keep an eye on. And if it's available, I'm probably going to be one of the first ones who's going to buy one of these robots.
What's your take, Amy?
Yeah, I am most excited about the possibility of the way that Optimus, the Tesla bot, will change the world. And again, this is something where, just like with Megapacks or other products Tesla is working on, Tesla will not be the only one doing a humanoid robot. Tesla doesn't need to be the only one doing a humanoid robot because the market is going to be so enormous. Vino Kozla, who's a very famous venture capitalist, has said that he anticipates there'll be 1 million robots within 10 years and 1 billion robots within 25 years. And I think that's conservative. I think that the rate of change that we're seeing right now with AI, that it's going to be much sooner than that. But with markets that large, there's room for many players. What Tesla's advantage again, though, is Tesla puts like the smart in a smart product. That's what Tesla does. So if you look at Boston Dynamics, we've seen all the cool tricks, the backflips, everything that their robots can do, but their robots need to be programmed. Their robots can't learn just by mimicking what you're doing yet. At some point, maybe they can, but Teslas already can. And Tesla has the ability to put these robots within the factory. And by putting it within the factory, they have a nice, safe training ground where they can train it. If you've done a factory tour, Tesla has all the areas where the robotic machines are right now, because of course they already have robots, they just don't have humanoid robots in the factory. They're walled off. They have glass, they have safety things. The people and the robots don't really work in the same space, so they can put these robots in the factory. They can use that to accelerate the training of the robots, and that's a huge advantage that Tesla has. And when I look at what it's going to do for the world, if you look at different areas of revolution that we've had in the past, the printing press was a huge revolution in society. The dawn of the industrial age was a huge revolution in society. Even Henry Ford and the Model T and the different way to produce cars, it changed the way society worked. The bot is going to be the same thing. When we have humanoid robots, Elon Musk has said, what does an economy even mean at that point when it's only limited by your imagination of what you can produce as a society? We move from an age of where some people think we have scarcity to this age of abundance where we have enough things and where people can get rid of dangerous, repetitive, boring tasks and operate on a higher level and do things that they really want to do. So I'm just incredibly excited about the future.
Likewise. Now, everyone in the audience, all of us have a smartphone. Will you buy a smartphone without an app store? No. Anyone? No. So imagine there's a platform like Tesla Bot, and there's an app store for it where the bot could do anything. Elderly care, play tennis with you, go jogging with you, security, iron your clothes, wash the dishes, drive for you, ride a horse with you, go on a date with you. Generative AI. Now, how many of you would buy a Tesla bot with an app store if it costs $20,000 US? Show of hands. You'd buy a Tesla bot for $20,000. A lot of us. Tesla cars are solving for the transportation market. Tesla bot is solving for the labor market, which is basically a much, much bigger problem to solve. And solving for labor market, not just on Earth. I was talking to some SpaceX engineers who say, actually, Tesla bot is going to be very useful beyond Earth. It costs a lot to put one astronaut on the moon. It costs a crazy amount of money to put one astronaut on Mars. But it costs very little to put 1,000 Tesla bots on Mars. So, in a world with Tesla bot, Elon Musk says we live in a world of abundance because we now have almost free labor, bot powered by the sun, by Tesla Solar. Do you see our world changing very profoundly? What's your take?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything you just said. And it's going to be, I think we're going to see a lot less wars. I think we're going to see a much more peaceful society when people are fighting over land, they're fighting over resources. When you have the bot that's able to automate that, when you have full self-driving cars and easy transportation going around, when you have abundant energy through solar and megapacks, it changes the way our society operates because you're no longer at war over these scarce resources. I'm so incredibly optimistic about what our future is going to be.
I think the possibilities and opportunities are, and I agree, there is a lot of abundance in terms of resources. There's just one challenge which I think we need to keep an eye on, which is, and it has been talked in various aspects as well, which is inclusivity of less privileged societies and economies as well. So assume we have the option to buy a Tesla bot here in Singapore or in developed societies and economies. What does it mean for that society or economy which has the power to procure and has the power to operate such a robot? And if you don't find a system where you can make sure that even the non or less privileged societies and economies have the option to participate in this ecosystem, they have the option to be left behind even further. So while there is a great advantage in having a Tesla bot or a technology such as that, I think it's also our responsibility from a general perspective to make sure that we use that technology in a way to elevate the overall, well, I guess society from an overall perspective. And I know that Tesla has lots of plans around providing sustainable energy into rural areas and so forth, and other companies as well trying to provide internet in rural areas. And there are lots of projects on these lines which are out there, which are fantastic. But I think if we play all these things right and we make sure that we use that technology in the actual way to improve people's lives, then the incremental value which we can get out of that is definitely exponential. Because as Amy said and as Daren said, there is an abundance of resources and there is an abundance on for everyone, every society and community as well. We just have to make sure that we use the tools which we have in the right way. So having the robot is one piece of the puzzle which can make that work, but I think there are some other aspects of things we need to put together from an ecosystem perspective. And the players doing the right thing, there are lots of eyes on how generative AI should be used, what are the guardrails of generative AI, and assuming all of the research which is being done today will eventually end up in the Tesla bot as well, so that we can have a very sustainable and safe way to use that technology and those robots going forward.
Thank you. We live in a world of possibilities. And now it's your turn. What questions do you have for Amy and Lars? Does anyone have a question? Okay, I see one behind.
Hi. I had a question for you, Amy. So obviously, living in a world of peace and harmony is a lovely vision. But what about abuse or potential abuse of all of this fantastic technology?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. So when her question was, what about abuse of AI? What about abuse of the bot? What about using it as a tool against people? So Elon Musk is very paranoid, I mean, to put it mildly. So the Tesla bot is designed to be easily overpowered and shut down by any person so that it can never be turned against society. As far as AI goes, that's one of the reasons why he wanted to start XAI, why he wants Tesla to be an AI. He wanted, and he founded OpenAI. He was one of the founding members to try and keep AI from becoming some superpower that can take over for humans. He talks frequently about regulation for AI and AI companies banding together to do it, but it certainly is something that's a work in progress, and that it's incumbent upon us, it's incumbent upon Tesla employees, it's incumbent upon Elon Musk to keep making sure that they're verifying that this technology is going to be used for good, not used for evil, and that the safeguard and rails are in place to keep it down that path. And what I've seen so far, I'm comfortable with Tesla and Elon Musk, but that's who's at the company right now. What do you think, Lars?
Oh, absolutely. I think if we look at the way how companies are trying to guardrail the safety of AI, and there are lots of examples, by the way, where I actually created something that was totally not expected by the actual inventor of the model. Funny stories and not so funny stories as well. And there are more and more happening on those, on the same kind of aspects, but all of them, as of now, are more in the textual way or in certain robotic ways. But I think due to that, there is much more focus on actually guardrailing that and making sure that it doesn't happen. So I think we're on the right track to make sure that it doesn't happen and that there is a safety exit for everyone who is involved in that.
So it's really important, as Amy mentioned, for Elon Musk that there is democracy in AI. Not just one company or one country holds a monopoly for it. So the more options there are, the more competition there is, the better it is for a more positive outcome for society. What other questions do we have? Okay, there's one more here.
Hi. As Tesla bulls, we all know that Tesla is into energy, robotics, and AI. Recently, AI with XAI. Now, what do you think Tesla could do to protect Tesla bulls investors like us from FUDs and from people like from HSBC with coming out with a not too accurate assumption of Tesla, and then the stock fell in by more than 5%. And the next question is, do you think Elon would really be able to solve FSD this year, as he said? Thank you.
So I'm hearing two parts of the question. One, can we solve full self-driving this year? Second, how is the company protecting long-term investors? Yeah? Okay.
You're the best one to answer that question.
I can go. As far as protecting long-term investors, one of the things that Tesla does is they, like with XAI, will be Tesla's first customer likely for renting out compute and Dojo and the NVIDIA cluster. So there will be a financial arrangement there where Tesla gets paid by XAI to do this. And this allows Tesla to develop something that could be their version of Amazon Web Services and get paid for the R&D and the development. So it's a very symbiotic relationship between Elon Musk companies that is going to put Tesla in a very strong position. If you look at XAI, for example, the employees of XAI would not have gone to work at SpaceX. They would not have gone to work at Tesla. They want to be in a small startup without that huge corporate infrastructure around them. But what they are doing will benefit Tesla, and Tesla has agreements that they already do. Really good engineers can work some months at SpaceX, and then they transfer over to Tesla, and then they go back to SpaceX. So they'll be able to do the same thing with XAI, and where some of those engineers will go and help Tesla out with what they know and then come back. So Elon Musk, in my experience, having been invested since the IPO, he doesn't care much about people that short the stock. He's very derisive. He doesn't care about people that trade the stock back and forth. But when it comes to his long-term investors, I was lucky enough to go to the annual meeting, and he stood up on the stage and he just said, like, I really want to thank everyone that believed in me, that invested in this company, that still invested in this company. And he said this type of sentiment multiple times. He said, he warns us, like at the last conference call, that the future is that the short-term future might be a little bit rocky, that there might be a lot of volatility. But then he says, the long-term future is incredibly bright. So he really from my opinion, and I can't speak for him, but from everything I've heard Elon Musk say, he cares deeply about rewarding the people that believed in him, that took a bet and invested in the company. Does that answer the question?
Okay. Okay. So to build on this, again, Tesla is building a lot more alliances. Like Amy mentioned, once other car companies sign an alliance like for supercharger use, once they start advertising, the media and the competitors have a more friendly relationship with Tesla. In the past, if your media, you would say bad things about Tesla because it drives clicks. Now that Tesla is starting to advertise, you want to be kinder to Tesla because it's the biggest white space opportunity. Same thing, Ford, GM, Toyota, even all EV companies out there that are now supporting using the North America charging standard. That means that they have to be a symbiotic relationship with Tesla. Yeah? So as that happens, there'll be more allies, there'll be more people who want Tesla to succeed because they're not just an independent company, they're a whole ecosystem. And even in the ecosystem of dealers, so in the past, like other car companies sold through dealers, dealers are evolving as well. So some of their dealers are now evolving to buying your ICE cars, getting you to move into EVs. So there's a lot more support and alliance. Now to your second question, is FSD going to be solved this year? I see solving it as step by step. So can it actually be a good co-pilot like in North America by end of this year with a version 12? My personal take is yes. When I say co-pilot, that means the driver is still paying attention. There is still a steering wheel in the car. It'll get you to point A to B most of the time, and the car will alert you when it cannot do the job anymore. Like right now, even in version 12, it doesn't park for you yet. If it says go from Golden Gate Bridge to, let's say, Apple and Cupertino, it won't drive into a gated community, it won't park in a parking lot yet. But for what it can do, there's nothing like it. Especially when we look at all the other news about the autonomous driving cars in Bay Area right now. What's your take, Amy?
Yeah, when I look at FSD, we really won't completely know the answer to that question until version 12 is in wide release, at least beta release, because it represents a complete rewrite of FSD. So everything that people have out there right now is the 300,000 lines of code version, not the 3,000 lines of code version. So we won't know until we see that, but what we do know is that the engineers at Tesla and Elon Musk at Tesla are very excited about this end-to-end neural net solution, with Elon Musk saying things like, we were making it way too difficult. You know, like the end-to-end neural nets, it was the answer. So they're happy with this version of FSD that none of us have seen, other than the video that he did, that live stream of driving the car around. But in that video, the car swerved around bicyclists, and he's like, we never taught it. There's no line of code that says go around that bicyclist. We just put video in, and the car made that determination from seeing all those videos to do it. This is your area, Lars, so I'm really interested in what you have to say.
I think it's actually quite interesting. If you look at self-driving overall and what we think about self-driving and what the general, if I talk to my family about self-driving, they all have the impression that we sit in the car and the car drives from A to B by itself, which essentially is self-driving. But I think the potential for self-driving is even much more than driving from A to B, and we are still quite far away from this. Again, we are going back to the infrastructure where we hopefully at one point have a fully utilized 24-hour car which can drive around by itself. We can actually make away with intersections because we don't need traffic lights anymore, because the cars can hopefully communicate among themselves. So while I think the immediate version of self-driving cars might be, or it's already available, kind of the next evolution of self-driving cars which can communicate among themselves and so forth is still pretty much out there, but I think even a much more exciting future which we can have from a self-driving perspective. So we are not there yet, but then again it comes to the ecosystem as well, the integration of businesses, the integration of charging, the integration of point-to-point drop-off and so forth. I think there are a lot of potentials which the next evolution of self-driving can actually bring to the market for each and every one of us, where we don't even have to own a car anymore, and we can have a car on demand 24 hours, which drives us from A to B and provides services for us as well as part of the Tesla bot, and again, the whole ecosystem as well.
So another perspective to the thought is for us to ask ourselves, what other company is the next best alternative? What other company has 300,000 paying customers for an autonomy solution? And what other company is progressing faster than Tesla? So that's a question that we have to answer for ourselves. Let's take one last question. Is there one last question from the audience? Yes, let's get one more last question down here.
So, good afternoon, everyone. What do you think Elon Musk will be doing after the robots come out?
That's a great question.
That's a very good question. I think the question was what Elon Musk will be doing after the robotic market?
After the robots come out.
After the robots come out, okay. I think if you look in the trajectory of what he's doing, we probably would know. He probably buys another company, which is X and so forth. But if you look at the companies he's buying and the things he's trying to do, it has always something to do with data. Now he's as well with the AI initiative, which is going in SpaceX. So my next bet would be, it would be another company who can provide an essential foundation of data which can be utilized in the overall ecosystem, which can be utilized again for the current cars, the bots and so forth, and sustainability in the first place. So my bet would be another data company or the next evolution of quantum computing, AI, or connected systems, for example. But that's just a guess from my side. Amy?
Yeah, that is an awesome question. Well done. So when I look at what I think that Elon Musk will do after robots, I really have to come back down to Mars. If you look at all of the Elon Musk companies together, there's a common thread running through these, that this is the technology that you need to start a civilization on Mars. And he said, that he really finds purpose in trying the idea of making the human species multiplanetary. So I don't see him retiring. He's tried that before. It doesn't make him happy. I see him continuing to work on what we need as a species to have a spacefaring humanity and some type of civilization or a colony in Mars. Whatever else we need for that. And he's got the Boring Company, he's got Neuralink, he's got SpaceX, he's got solar, he's got the energy. But I'm sure that Kimball's working on the food, but maybe there needs to be more done with how are you going to get food on Mars?
Yes, and yes. I want to acknowledge your curiosity. What's your name? Can you share with everyone, please?
My name is Javier, and my brother's name is Rayo.
Xavier and Rhea, let's give them a round of applause for their curiosity. Now, this is exactly what Elon Musk hopes to inspire. They want us, the next generation, to look up in the sky where we see the stars out there. The stars that are not blinking are planets. And they want us to say, one day, we're going to go up there. We're going to the moon. When people say Tesla to the moon, it's not just the stock price that's going to the moon. His old actual roadster is past the moon right now. And one day, when we look up, you'll see a brother on the moon. There's a Hilton hotel on the moon. Yes, that's right. Tesla to the moon. And life, as Elon Musk mentioned, is not just about solving problems. It's about also waking up and being inspired. We'll spend 95% of our life solving problems, but what if we can spend 5% of our life just being inspired and building a better future for humanity? And it's again the next generation like you, as Steve Jobs says, the old make way for the new. And one day, you'll be up here on stage telling the world what life on Mars is like. So thank you so much, Lars. Thank you so much, Amy, for inspiring us today in our final panel at TeslaCon Singapore.
Thanks for having this amazing event. I have been so impressed with what you have put on with the TeslaCon. It's absolutely incredible. Really, really cool. Well done, Daren.
Thank you. This means a lot to us and our team. Everyone here made this possible. Our audience, our volunteers, our owners, all of you.